Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me try to introduce what we're going to learn for today. Actually, this is about main idea as the continuations of our previous lessons related to the topics. And now we go on to the next part. There are several things that you need to know about main idea. The first one is related about the definitions. So what is main idea actually? Yeah, you have to know about a main idea. There are lots of times that you heard about this kind of the terms before, and I'm quite sure that you are familiar with the words of main idea, or in Indonesia we call as ide pokok. Yeah, so what is it, main idea actually? So we're going to define the definitions of these terms. So main idea is the sentence that has the main point of the paragraph. So it means that every single paragraph or every single text will have main ideas on it. So where is the position? The position of the main ideas, the smallest one is in the paragraph. So that's why among the paragraph, there will be main points of the paragraph, which is called as the main idea. So in form of the sentence has the main point of the paragraph. And the second one, this is going to be the leading sentence. So main idea, it means that the leading sentence, the one that will lead the other sentences, the one that has the basic foundations to develop or to write or to talk about the other sentences. And the last one, we can also define the main idea is as the sentence that has the topic as the subject, and the predicates is the idea about the topic. So this is the definitions of the main idea. Next, we talk about the forms. So when we would like to figure out which one is the main idea in the paragraph, or when we listen to someone else talk to you and we would like to find out which one is the main idea of the text that they are being taught, so we need to figure out the forms. So what is the form? Of course, in language, we just have a kind of either it is in form of the letter, word, phrase, sentence, paragraph, or essay, group or paragraph. So we need to know. So in this case, I would like to remind you the form of the main idea is in form of a sentence, right? So a main idea will always in form of a sentence. So here, what makes it different to the others? Of course, there will be a difference. The first things, as the definition says, that this sentence will have the most important points of the whole paragraph. And before we go on to the next part, you also have to know about what is the definition of a sentence. Sentence is a group of words that has a subject and also the predicate. In English, the subject will always in form of a noun or pronoun, and the predicate will have two types. The first one, that will be a verb, maybe verb 1, verb 2, or verb 3, even verb ing. And then the second one, if there is no verb in the predicate, then will be to be plus complement as the replacer of the verb. We're going to talk about this further in the next chapter. Next, where's the locations of the main idea? Where we can find the main idea. So the location of the main idea, of course, in the paragraph, there are two types. The first one explicit and the second one is implicit. Explicit means it is clearly written down or it is clearly mentioned by the speaker. But implicit means is it is not clearly stated or not clearly mentioned by the speaker or not clearly written down by the writer. So we call it as an implicit one. So if it is explicit, so where we can find it? The first one, at the beginning of the paragraph or at the first sentence of the paragraph. It doesn't necessarily always as the first sentence, but it should be at the beginning of the paragraph, maybe at the first or the second sentence at least. And then this is called as a deductive paragraph. So maybe you have familiar with the terms of deductive or deductive. Yeah. So if you find a main idea of the paragraph at the beginning of the paragraph, so we can call the paragraph as deductive paragraph. It means that it has the main idea at the beginning of the paragraph. And then it also can appear at the end of the paragraph. So we can call it as a concluding sentence. So it is not necessarily always in the first part of the sentence of the paragraph, but it also can happen at the last part of the paragraph along with the concluding paragraph, concluding sentence, sorry. And after that, if it is implicit, of course, you have to understand that no sentence can represent the whole paragraph in that particular text if it is written. And when you are being the speaker or someone else talks to you, there is no sentence that clearly mentions about the whole of the text that she or he being talked at times. And then the second one, the reader or listener must conclude the main idea by themselves. So we are free to make our own conclusion. That is one of the purpose of making the main idea implicit. And the last one, all sentences in the paragraph are just supporting sentences only. So the writer or the speaker just mentions or just write about the supporting sentences only. So which one is the supporting sentences, Miss Nancy? So I'm going to show you the example later on. Now we go on to the how to make the how to find or make the main idea. These are the steps that you need to remember. The first one, you must have the topic of the paragraph. So that's why in the previous meeting, we have already assigned you to find the topic of each of the paragraph that you're going to write. Yeah, only the topic. You cannot make more than that. Yeah, only in form of word or phrase, because we have learned before that topic is always in form of word and phrase. And after that, always remember it is always in form of word and phrase only. That's why in my following examples of your assignments, yeah, if you make your previous assignment in form of a paragraph, that will be a wrong example. Yeah, you just have to make word or phrase only. So this time you just have to develop the sentence into one single sentence only, because we would like to make the main idea. The second part that you need to do to make or to find the main idea in a text is think about the idea. What does it mean by the idea? What happened with the topic? So this is called as a controlling idea. So after you have the topic, you have to think what happened with the topic. So this is called as a controlling idea. Remember, this is very important, and then you have to make sure the controlling idea, the idea about the topic or what happened with the topics, has novelty or new when we write a scientific writing. And the second one, you have to make sure it can be elaborated. Yeah, it is not too narrow. Yeah, so you can elaborate it enough later on. And after that, it is must be logical and scientific, so it can be proven. There will be a theory that can support your idea. And after that, you can put the topic as the subject of the sentence, and after that, the controlling idea as the predicate of the sentence. So these are the way to make main ideas. So this is the example. For example, you have the topic. The topic is in form of the phrase. Yeah. So the topic is the well-being of university in Indonesia. Yeah. So this is in form of the phrase. This is not a sentence. Yeah. This is a phrase. That's why we call it as a topic. Yeah. This is going to be what does the text talk about. And then after that, we need to think about what happened with the well-being of university students in Indonesia. So we call it as a controlling idea. For example, my idea is becoming growing concern in higher education. All right, so this is the idea about the well-being of the university student in Indonesia. So when we develop the main idea, we just have to put the topic as the subject of the sentence, and then after that, put the controlling idea as the predicate. As you see here, the well-being university students in Indonesia as a subject, is the starting point of the predicate. Yeah, is becoming a growing concern in higher education. Yeah, so this is the predicate, what happened with the topic. So this is what we call as the controlling idea. So the assignments that I assign to you is actually until this point. Ya, hanya sampai di sini saja. Jadi teman-teman hanya membuat satu kalimat saja per tiap topiknya. So you just need to write the sentence, the main point of the whole uh, paragraph as the subject and what happened with the topic as the predicate, and this is going to be the main idea of your paragraph later on. So if you have more than one topic in one chapter, for example, you are in charge in education in introductions, yeah, meaning there will be more than five, for example, things that you would like to tell that becoming the topic of your paragraph, yeah, and then that will be five sentences later on. Now this is the example of the position of the main idea in the paragraph. The red highlight is called as the main idea. Look at that. We have the well-being of university student in Indonesia as a topic here, and this is becoming the subject of this sentence. Is becoming growing concern in higher education is the controlling idea, like I mentioned before, and is becoming a growing concern in higher educations is the one that we are going to prove, the one that we are going to elaborate in form of the supporting sentences. So if we find any kinds of the citations outside that prove that it is becoming concern in higher education, this is what we call as the supporting sentences. In this case, I tried to add, for example, the supporting ideas for is becoming a growing concern in higher education. Number one is many students experience high level of stress due to academic pressure, financial challenges, and limited access to the mental health services. This is mentioned by Utami and Usari 2021. This is the evidence, this is the proof, this is the supporting of the idea about the topic. Yeah. And the second support is additionally, the transition from the traditional to online learning during the pandemic has increased feelings of isolation and burnout among students, mentioned by Puri et al. 2002. This is another evidence, another proof that these issues, the well-being of university in Indonesia, is becoming a growing concern in higher education. And after that, I'd like to re-mention the main idea by giving the concluding sentence. Now, so this is the other way to mention the main idea. Later on, we're going to talk about this, and this is called as a concluding sentence. Therefore, it is important for universities to provide comprehensive support system to ensure mental, emotional, and academic well-being. So this is called a concluding sentence. So your job, once again, this week is just making the first line or the first sentence, just the red underline or the red highlight only here. So this is what we call as the main idea of the paragraph. Right? I think that's all the materials for today. Thank you so much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.